Hey guys, how's it going? So this past weekend, within just a couple hours of that crazy omnibus bill getting passed, the federal government came out and announced that there is now a national red flag order resource center. This is crazy stuff, and you may have already heard about this, but continue to watch this video because I'm going to offer a perspective that you might not be hearing so much in the news and might not be hearing from other YouTubers as well. So, I've been talking about the Michigan red flag laws that have recently gone into effect. But while I was doing that, I was telling the rest of my national audience, watch what's going on here because this is coming for you, because this is a nationwide scheme. And every single state has been bribed by a law that was passed 2 years ago to implement red flag laws in your state. So, God bless all of you who live in pro-Second Amendment states. But nobody's safe with this, and this is literally insane. So I'm going to go over a little bit about the program itself, but what I'm going to dig into in this video is how we got here, how this got passed, who funded it, and why we should all be concerned on what's going on both sides of the aisle. Because Democrats are at fault here, obviously, considering all Democrats always vote for gun control. But then we have Republicans who cross over as well. So before we get into this video, make sure you guys check out the description and check out my locals community. It's a censorship-free site where I post extra content you're not going to see here. And if you want to help support the channel, you can join as a member or check out the Patreon down there. And also check out Blackout Coffee, who doesn't support red flag laws. It's awesome. It tastes great. And check out the description for an awesome code there to help save you guys some money. So, this is just briefly part of the press release, and I'm getting this from an article from Fox News. The National Extreme Risk Protection Order, these are red flags, Resource Center, according to a Saturday Department of Justice press release, will specifically provide assistance to law enforcement officials, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim service and social service providers, community organizers, and behavioral health professionals. Now, we could just stop this video right now and say that's literally insane. In other words, this is coming to your state. This is coming to your hometown. And they're bribing states to pass red flag laws. And they're also going to teach your local law enforcement how to better confiscate your guns. They're also going to talk to community organizers to help win this culture war. A win for them is a loss for us because they're trying to literally confiscate guns with no due process, because that's exactly what red flag laws are. Obviously, they called it, to quote President Trump, he said, "I like take them quick, take the guns first, then due process." I'm paraphrasing, but he literally said that. So again, this is something on both sides of the aisle. This violates the First Amendment, because now you're going to be afraid to talk about stuff online. Because somebody who has standing to flag you, which, oh, just to name a few, could include a ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, an ex-spouse, a former roommate. Heck, you could have gone on a date with somebody in 1972 and never talked to them again. Of course, all police have standing to red flag you, and numerous other people. Tell me how that could go wrong. Imagine that. Ooh, a scorned ex-wife? That would never happen, right? No. People can red flag you for many reasons, and these people don't even have to know you particularly well, because maybe, like I said earlier, you just went on a date with them 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago, and they would still have standing to ruin your life, have your guns taken. This is called an ex parte hearing, meaning you don't know about it until after they've reached their conclusion. Then they come to your house, depending on the state, sometimes in the middle of the night, and really, really bad things can happen. Now, you're not there for this initial hearing. You don't get to have an attorney there that could provide what's called exculpatory evidence showing your innocence. Nope. This all happens in secret, behind your back, due to an allegation. And it's a much lower threshold than the beyond a reasonable doubt criminal court standard. So, stands to reason that somebody can go in there and, in many cases, file false reports, false flags, and literally ruin your life and have all your guns, ammo, everything associated with literally confiscated. Then you have to come back after the fact and prove your innocence. Yeah, this violates literally most of the whole Bill of Rights. 14th Amendment, and of course it's gun control, obviously, but it's way worse than just gun control because this violates almost all of your natural God-given rights that are supposed to be protected and defended by the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'm going to go on and read one more thing, then I'm going to go through kind of how we got here and how crazy this is. ERPO laws, these are the Extreme Risk Protection Orders, which are red flag laws, which are modeled off domestic violence protection orders, create a civil process, allowing law enforcement, family members in most states, and medical professionals or other groups in some states to petition a court to temporarily prohibit someone at risk of harming themselves or others from purchasing and possessing firearms for the duration of the order, DOJ noted. Yeah, and we've already had processes in all 50 states for people that are imminent risk to themselves or others, but yet they let murderers out with no bail, and they let people, criminal invaders, invade the United States. So clearly they don't care about safety. They don't follow any of these other laws to, quote, keep people safe. However, when it comes to the guns, yeah, this is a gun confiscation scheme without due process. This is all made possible by funding that happened in two parts. First of all, I'll go with the most recent one, where the Republican-controlled, under Speaker Johnson, House of Representatives, passed this omnibus bill. This is more money than you could even imagine, and this is what they're going to use now to fund this. And there's a couple tweets of a couple representatives who are outraged about this, and I have one here from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, Merrick Garland just announced a massive red flag operation that the DOJ will be running by using every spy tool the U.S. government has in order to violate America's Second Amendment. This comes right after Johnson fully funded Biden's weaponized DOJ. Think about what she just said. Every spy tool at the disposal of the United States government. This is like scary, scary stuff, giving more funding and more resources for them to spy on you, more than they ever have before, and they're already spying on you more than you would possibly even believe. Here's what Representative Thomas Massie had to say about it. He said, what the hell is this evil? A federal red flag center? We did not authorize this. Announced, of course, just hours after the omnibus passes. Now, I'm going to go through who actually did call for this and how this got put in. Democrats, obviously. If you haven't figured out that by now, when it comes on the national level, every Democrat votes for gun control every single time, no matter what. You can look at the voting records and see what I'm talking about. However, the Democrats can't pass legislation alone, especially when it comes to the Senate's ability to filibuster and stop the motion to invoke cloture, which means end debate on the floor. There has to be Republicans that go along with this. And they have, and they did, and they are. So I've talked about this on the channel, but there's some people new, and I welcome you to the channel. If this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, make sure you subscribe and share as well. So in 2022, there was this so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. I was screaming from the rooftops when they announced it. I'm like, you need to call your senators. We need to stop this in the Senate. And they could have stopped it, except for they didn't want to, because a lot of Republican senators actually supported this. And unfortunately, so did the Republican president of the United States, Donald Trump. Now look, I know almost all of my viewers, many viewers to say the least, are big Trump supporters. He's your guy. You voted for him. You want to vote for him again. And I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. Obviously, he's the lesser of two evils over Biden. Certainly, if you care about the Second Amendment at all, you better not vote for Biden. But a lot of the Republican lawmakers in D.C., all the way up to the president, are not innocent with this. They have supported gun control time and time again. There's the Trump bump stock ban, which we've talked about before, which led to all of this other crazy ATF overreach. And I think and I hope that most of my viewers are mature enough to, even if Trump's your guy, even if you love Trump, look, I'm not going to pick a fight with you. I'm not mad at you personally. You do you, and that's your right as an American to vote for whoever you want. But this is a tough conversation to have. But we need to have tough conversations. We need to be adults and actually call a spade a spade. And I'm going to play just a real quick excerpt from what Trump said just a few years ago when he was president. And then I'll go over the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. You can kind of see how we got here and what we need to look at in the future, right?
President Trump at the White House today addressing the nation after 2 mass shootings in less than 24 hours.
We are outraged and sickened by this monstrous evil.
Offering a solution to stopping gun violence.
That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders.
It's a law.
There you go. I had to play that, I thought, because if not, I mean, please leave comments. I want to have an active discussion only for those who actually watch the video. But I knew there'd be people saying Trump never said that. He never. I wish he never said it. Trust me, I do. But he did. And in my opinion, he started all this as far as Republicans getting on board. I'm going to go over this, which is something that we can't forget about. And make sure you share this part with all of your friends. This little thing here comes from the Senate Republican Policy Committee. So this is the Senate Republicans and their official statement. This was their considerations on the bill, okay, this Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which funded hundreds of millions of dollars to bribe each of your home states to enact red flag laws. And now, of course, we have this new jackbooted intelligence ring, the National Red Flag Center, that's going to go through and implement this and train all of your local police on how to red flag better. Now, if I already didn't get a couple thumbs downs for calling out Trump, and I'm about to call out some Republican senators, I'm sure to get a couple more here. So make sure you guys don't forget to like the video if you like what we're doing here. But local law enforcement, I know there's a lot of good cops maybe in your hometown, and I have friends who are good cops, but the only way so this can happen and they can confiscate these guns is by the local police taking part in this. Some county sheriffs in Michigan and other states have said they will not confiscate. They will not enact one of these red flag orders. I hope they're telling the truth, and if they are, awesome. We need leaders like that, and we need sheriffs like that. But with that said, I'm just going to read this real quick here, and you'll see why I mentioned that and why I brought that up. This is another tough thing about this. Leader McConnell supports the legislation. He stated, for years, the far left falsely claimed that Congress could only address the terrible issue of mass murders by trampling on law-abiding Americans' constitutional rights. This bill proves that false. Our colleagues have put together a common sense, he just said common sense, you know we're in trouble now, right? Package of popular steps that will help make these horrifying incidents less likely while fully upholding the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. But this literally enacted all this federal funding for red flag laws. This bill that would become law, and it is the current law. The CDC reports that each year, 1 in 5 people experience a mental health condition that is treatable. The pandemic that they still don't want you to talk about, has taken a toll on people's mental health. With young people especially affected, the bill includes an expansion of the CCBHC model as well as funding to support mental health services in schools so that more people can access mental health. Now, I support mental health, obviously, but this literally funded red flag laws. And also, they're making ATF Ruling saying everybody will need to get their FFL to be able to ever transfer a firearm. Yeah, now the ATF's making rules based off of this too. Republican senators, these are the ones that voted to advance the legislation. And wait until you hear some of these states that these are coming from. Shows you that you're literally not safe anywhere, no matter how pro-gun your state is. And no matter how awesome your state is. And every state I'm about to read are great states. I've been to many of them, but this is a tough pill to swallow. But we're going to go through who advanced the bill to make it where we have the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which is literally what allowed them to have this National Red Flag Center and many, many other things that we're already dealing with. And we're going to be dealing with many more things in the future. From the great state of Kentucky, Senator McConnell. From Texas. What? No, literally. From Texas, Senator Cornyn. From North Carolina, Senator Tillis. From Missouri, Senator Blunt. Now, a couple of these aren't senators anymore, but most of them are. From Maine, Senator Collins. From South Carolina, I was just there last weekend. Love that state. Senator Graham. From Louisiana, Senator Cassidy. From North Carolina, Senator Burr. Well, hold on a minute. I just said Tillis from North Carolina. Yep, you got that right if you were listening. The two senators in the state of North Carolina voted exactly the same as the two Democrat senators in Michigan, California, and New York. So when it comes to getting red flag laws pushed and funded throughout the country, North Carolina got represented the same as California, and New York, and New Jersey, and it's true. From Utah, Romney. From Ohio, Portman. From West Virginia, Capito. Now keep in mind, you guys have Shelley Moore Capito, as well as Joe Manchin. One's a Democrat that's supposed to be pro-Second Amendment. One's a Republican. It doesn't matter. The Republican and Democrat both voted for this crap. And West Virginia collectively has the same stance as California. Let that sink in for a minute. From Iowa, Senator Ernst. And from Alaska, Senator Murkowski. And from Indiana, Senator Young voted to advance the legislation on June 21st. Senator Toomey, which is formerly of the senator from Pennsylvania, did not vote, but released a statement indicating he supported the bill and urged all senators to support the legislation. All right, back to local law enforcement again. The National Sheriff's Association sent a letter on June 22nd to Leader Schumer and Leader McConnell expressing the group's support of the legislation. The letter states, sheriffs see up close the daily carnage of gun violence carried out by criminals and individuals suffering from mental illness. We appreciate the authors coming together on a bill that can actually save lives, which is written in such a way that allows the Senate to craft their own unique answers to the questions raised by gun violence. So I'm not saying every last sheriff supports this. I've met some that are adamantly against it, actually. But the National Sheriff's Association supported this and urged the Senate to vote for this so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which doesn't apply to criminals at all. See, here's the crazy thing right now, and I guess it's always been this way if you think about it. For some reason, people think that they can send people to Capitol Hill, people with no common sense at all, and that they can legislate morality. Look, this has always been and always will be a battle of good versus evil. You cannot pass a law to make a bad person good. So these laws don't affect the criminals because their very nature of being a criminal, they don't follow laws. This only affects the law-abiding citizens and only urges states now with this red flag funding and this national center to criminalize law-abiding citizens, because the criminals will never ever follow these laws, and gun-free zones are criminal empowerment zones, and mental health is a big deal. But here's the problem: by you saying that you love your country, by you saying that you celebrate certain Christian holidays, by you saying shall not be infringed and don't tread on me, by you purchasing a Bible, you are added to lists now. And you could be considered an MVE, as they used to call it, still do, militia violent extremist. So you, by just loving the Second Amendment, maybe in the future, or maybe right now, deemed mentally ill for loving the founding documents of this country. And truth is treason in the empire of lies. So just because you might be sitting there thinking, well, I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I abide by the Second Amendment. Do you? Because if you abided by shall not be infringed and did what you wanted, you would be criminalized. With over 20,000 federal gun control laws, regulations, and growing ATF rules that have full force and effective law. So for loving the Constitution, for loving the founding documents, you yourself could be labeled as one of these extremists. You probably already are, quite frankly. And then you would be criminalized. And all of your guns taken with no due process at all. And you'd have to come back and prove your innocence. Well, we now have funding for them to reach in and use all of the spy tools, the deep state, and put the jackboot of an oppressive government, a tyrannical government, on your neck more than it already is. So this is literally insanity. This is a big deal. And hopefully this video helped offer some perspective of what this is going to do and actually literally how we got here. And while Democrats are certainly at fault, totally, the Republicans, and I know what you're thinking, but they're the lesser of two evils. Yeah, they might be lesser than sometimes, but in this case, enough Democrats and Republicans got together and colluded against your natural right to keep and bear arms. It's protected by the Second Amendment. And yes, Trump called for this too. Whether you like it or not, he did. And I don't like it either, but here we are. All right, guys, we can talk more about this later, and leave a comment and let me know what y'all are thinking. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good one.